Ladies and gentlemen, and the misfits who refuse to stay in their lanes, welcome to the World's Mayor Experience. I'm your host, Joshua T. Berglan, and for the new listeners, let me give you the lay of the land. We do not do small talk here. We do real talk. We strip away the corporate veneer and the media spin to get to the marrow of the human experience. I stand here as a man who has battled dissociative identity disorder and who navigates the world of autism spectrum. But today, you're going to see something else. You might see me shaking. It isn't just in my hands, it is in my neck, my head, and my entire body. You might hear the struggle in my speech. These are not just tremors. This is my body reacting to the world in a way that most people can't even imagine. I feel every frequency, whether it is the electronic signals, human energy, or the raw power of Mother Nature herself. It surges through me in a very supernatural way. It is painful. It's exhausting. And it is a daily battle just to hold or talk into the microphone. But I refuse to hide it. These are not weaknesses. These are my credentials. Because when you have been broken by the system, when you feel the weight of the world literally vibrating in your bones, you learn how to build something better. We talk a lot on this show about shadow prisons. These are not the mental or societal cages that tell us you're too sick to lead, you're too poor to matter, or in the case of my guest today, you were too young to change the world. We are here to smash those prisons. We are here to elevate the voices that the establishment usually ignores until it's too late. Today, we are going to Lagos, Nigeria. We are going to look into the eyes of the future, and I promise you, the future is looking right back at us, and it is fearless. My guest today is proof that wisdom has nothing to do with wrinkles, and impact has nothing to do with your zip code. He is 19 years old, but do not let the number fool you. His resume reads like a veteran diplomat's. He hails from Lagos, growing up between the residential estates of Lagos Island and Lekki. While other teenagers were playing video games, he was picking up a pen, a camera, and a cause. He calls himself the Angelic Troublemaker. I love it. A term coined by the legendary Bayard Rustin. And that is exactly what he is doing, causing the kind of good trouble that shifts nations. He is the winner of the UNODC Be Wild for Nature competition. He is a recipient of the prestigious Diana Award. He is a National Geographic honorable mention and a global citizen emerging creative. He has taken his fight from the streets of Lagos, where he physically stopped traffic to scream for the planet, all the way to the Boardrooms of the Earth Prize, where he sits on the youth board. He is an artist, a tech entrepreneur, a poet, and the founder of the Lagos Island Literacy Project, teaching the next generation that environmental literacy is just as important as reading and writing. He is the creator of the Let's Conserve app, proving the solution to the climate crisis might just come from a teenager with a smartphone in Nigeria. He is one of Africa's most globally awarded teenagers. He is the voice the UN listens to when they need the truth. Please help me welcome the Angelic Troublemaker himself, Tariq Lawal. Now, Tariq, did I say your last name correctly?
Yeah, it's pronounced Lawal.
Oh, I did it. All right. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm, really grateful for that introduction. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to just get into conversations with you about the work I do, and also just share the wisdom and the knowledge I've gained over the years.
And you have tons of wisdom, my friend. Now, before we discuss the awards and the accolades, I have to ask you a question that sets the frequency for this entire broadcast. What are you grateful for today and why?
Ooh, I'm definitely grateful for being alive. I think oftentimes we do not appreciate just the rare, the shared blessing of just being alive, being able to dream, being able to live, being able to experience things. And, just being alive gives you so many possibilities. Like, there's so many people who are young like me who did not get to wake up today. And, I get the opportunity to, breathe today, to live, to dream, to, aspire towards something and to also create. So I think, being alive itself is something to be grateful for.
Amen to that. I love it. Now, Tariq, you grew up moving between Lagos Island and Lekki. The world often sees Lagos through the lens of chaos and poverty, but you see it through a lens of opportunity and beauty. How did this specific energy of Lagos, the contrast between the estates and the hustle, the noise and the water, shape your artistic eye? Could Tariq exist anywhere else, or did Lagos make you?
Yeah, so my parents actually grew up in Lagos Island, and it's like generations of two generations of people who grew up in Lagos Island. So Lagos Island has always felt like home. Even though my grandparents migrated here from our they were from the villages, and just like many residents of Lagos, most of them migrated from other parts of Nigeria, and they came here to make a better life for themselves. They started businesses, pursued their dreams, and just like built a life for themselves here in Lagos. So Lagos has always felt like home. My family has some history here, even though we're not like native to the land. And being somebody who grew up in Lagos, I've been shaped by the city in numerous ways. It is common knowledge that the most ambitious Nigerians are in Lagos. The city oozes with so much ambition and drive, and so many of the people here are just like constantly hustling for like a better life. And part of that might be due to like Nigeria's inequality and, like you mentioned, like poverty. People here are constantly striving for a better life, constantly striving for social mobility, constantly striving so they could put food on the table for their family. But at the same time, I think I would say I've been, shaped by Lagos. And with your question, like, can I exist somewhere else? I feel like I was born to live in big cities. So even if I do not live in Lagos, I would definitely thrive in New York. I'll thrive in, Dubai, just like anywhere that's like a big city with so much diversity and people from all walks of life. I really love engaging with people that are different from me. Like, it really just like expands your, knowledge of the diverse range of human experiences. Growing up in Lagos, I just realized that, there are people that are living entirely different lives from me. Some people are living, lives of total struggle. Some people are living, super glamorous lives. And, living in a place that is so diverse as Lagos really just like exposes you to so much. And I feel like I would say I'm lucky because compared to, some Nigerian children, they don't have the opportunity to see so many of the possibilities. Like I grew up hearing like relatives doing like incredible things. I had like relatives that were, running nonprofits, working on tech startups. So it has always been sort of like quite normal, which is a privilege in itself because it really just like shows you what's possible for you, and it raises the bar for you like from a very young age.
I love it. Now, you refer to yourself as the Angelic Troublemaker, which is the greatest name ever, by the way. A term from a great civil rights activist. Is it Bayard Rustin? I hope I said that correctly.
Yeah.
That implies thank you. That implies disruption. It implies making people uncomfortable. When was the first time you realized that being polite wasn't going to save the planet? Was the moment you decided to become a problem for the status? Was that the moment you decided to become a problem for the status quo?
Yeah. So regarding that, like, I feel like I've always been a pretty polite kid. When you grew up in an African household, like your parents raised you to be, very polite, always respectful of everyone around you, never rock the boat, never challenge any like traditional beliefs. And, obviously, like when you grow up in this kind of environment, like you almost like internalize that, and that becomes like your, basis. Like you never really do anything that's out of the box. And I feel like I've always been like a pretty, a kid that always just like wanted to, get out of the box and do things differently. Like I remember like when I was 12, like, instead of like doing my homework, like every other kid, I would scribble and draw on my books. And my mom would, sometimes get mad at me. Like, why are you drawing your books? And sometimes like I would write poems in my notebooks. I just like really did a lot of things that my parents really found like pretty unconventional. They never understood it, but they were like, okay, like maybe it's just like the artistic kind, and I think over time they started to understand like, what I was trying to do. And Nigerian society is a very traditional society. Well, not every aspect of Nigerian society, but like most aspects of Nigerian society is still very conservative. People here are often told, don't do anything that, gets you in trouble. Don't step out of the line. Even here, like so many people are afraid to be, engage in activism or raise awareness about issues that actually affect them. Like people here don't even want to challenge like corrupt political leaders, which is very devastating because like, they keep like the corrupt leaders that are keeping Nigeria from actually developing and being the great country that it is. They keep them in power because they refuse to challenge the systems. And, as a young person, it's very difficult to, be an angelic troublemaker. And that difficulty in itself is why I, tell myself, like, I do not care. I exist to, serve as an angelic troublemaker in this community. Like Berglan said, we need in every community a set of angelic troublemakers. And an angelic troublemaker is not somebody who just like causes trouble in their community. It's also somebody who, causes trouble for like a good cause. It's basically not about like causing trouble for like the sake of causing trouble, but like causing the good kind of trouble, raising awareness about like environmental issues, getting people to know about like, urgent societal challenges that, people in your community are facing and why they need to be addressed. And I feel like this is the perfect day to even discuss this because today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And Berglan was one of the organizers of, our March on Washington, which is like a major aspect of American history. So yeah, happy MLK Day.
Yeah, happy MLK Day indeed. I got to tell you something. I know a lot of people that I would consider earth angels. Every one of them have very dirty wings. Every one of them have whether it's a troubled past and they've rehabilitated their life, but either way, regardless, they're in the fight. And angels have to do dirty work too, so to speak. And, sometimes I believe some people have a calling on their life to be that earth angel. But that doesn't mean that they come out clean and fluffy and white and pink and all those other things. In fact, they come out bloody and bruised and maybe with a few addictions and other things. I'm not suggesting addiction. I'm just saying it's messy. Doing the work that God's called you to do is messy. And you can absolutely be an angel and get dirty. And you can absolutely be a troublemaker because look, Jesus flipped tables. How many figures that were doing the work of God that had to go into battle, and you're doing that. You're bringing attention to what needs to be brought attention to, and what's most importantly, and this is something I say every time I speak to a Holt Prize group, every time I get to speak anywhere in relation to Africa, specifically Nigeria. Nigerian youth are going to change the world for the better. It's your truth, your stories, the real stories of Africa, the real stories of Nigeria. That is going to impact and change the world for the better because it's people like yourself that are refusing to shy away from the potential trouble of speaking the truth, speaking truth to power. And you are setting an example for Americans because Americans right now are very confused and lost, and they're at war with each other. There's a lot of confusion. There's people that will speak up when it comes to propaganda, and they'll speak up to things that they can't really prove true is true, but no one really wants to tell the truth about what's really going on. And that's a problem. But people like yourself are setting an example for the rest of the world. You're setting an example for the youth, for adults, for people, again, from all walks of life. So I celebrate you in your courage, and it's okay to be an angel and be a troublemaker.
Thank you so much, Joshua. I really appreciate that. I do think like we're in an interesting period of time. Every part of the world is currently facing so many unprecedented changes, with AI and the climate crisis. It feels like things are rapidly changing and everyone is just like at war with each other. But I think, at the end of the day, anytime like one, kind of world fails or gets disrupted, like a new one emerges. So yeah, I'm quite optimistic.
I love it. Now, your advocacy began at the age of 13. Most 13-year-olds are worried about fitting in. You were writing poems about the triple planetary crisis. Did you feel like you grew up too fast? Do you feel like you have to sacrifice your childhood to become a guardian of the future?
I actually would say I did get to be a child. Like, in fact, like I still live like a very normal teenager. Like, obviously, like I try to separate like my advocacy or like public facing work from like who Tariq himself is. So, there's like a differentiation from like, Tariq, the public facing activist advocate, and also like Tariq, the, normal teenager who's just like figuring life out like every other kid. When I was 13, like I was very normal. Like I had like a friend group, I was in middle school. I was, doing silly things as everybody else, trying to like, while I was trying so hard to stand out and have my voice heard, there were also moments where I also tried to fit in, be one of the, really cool kids. And, back then, like my mom didn't want me to be on social media. I was really pissed. Like, we had that whole conversation on like, you're too young to be on Instagram. And so, I had like the very normal like teenage moments too. It wasn't like, I had like some very different special like childhood. I think the only thing I got differently was that I had like parents who were willing to let me explore myself and be, whoever I really wanted to be. So even if they, had like their concerns, they still felt like, he has like the right to choose his own destiny if that's what he wants for himself. If he wants to be the kind of person who goes in the streets to talk about like climate change and to demand for change, let him be. So I think that's one thing that really just like made things different for me. And I think like just like growing up in an environment where you're constantly seeing people doing like, disruptive things, like you just get to realize like, yeah, this is really possible for me. And where I grew up, like I saw so many people doing very inspiring things, from people, getting involved in politics to people, doing research and just like doing and I think like just like exposure, like, I used to watch like lots of documentaries. Like I grew up in like a pretty intellectual household. We used to watch like lots of like documentaries. I knew about like George Bush and American politics when I was like 9. So like, we were very keen on just like being very globally exposed and knowing like the issues that were happening in the world.
I love it. That God bless your family, man. For real. I love it. In 2023, you took to the streets of Lagos for a public demonstration that was featured by UNICEF during COP28. It's one thing to post on Instagram. It's another to stand on a street corner in a megacity and demand change. Were you afraid? What goes through your mind when you were standing there and the cars are rushing by?
I was actually afraid, but like my friends were with me, so like it was totally okay. Yeah, so like when I first thought of it, like it was a major crazy idea because like public demonstrations in Nigeria are very rare, and that was due to the fact that it was after like I did a public demonstration sort of like a year or two after the NSARS protest, which was like a protest that broke out to to challenge like police brutality in Nigerian society. And after that period of time, people started getting scared of protests because like a massacre happened due to that protest. And the Nigerian government got really like tough on like public protests, anything that just like challenged power, like they got really tough. So like we were a bunch of kids. And so of course, like we were very scared. We were like, oh my God, like what are we doing? What if we, get in trouble for doing this? But, I still felt like, we should do it anyway. We felt like we actually looked a bit crazy when we were doing it. Like we took to the streets and, we walked like all the way from like my estates and we walked down, like, walked past through different parts of the city. And I felt like more confident because like my friends, I have the most amazing friends. Like they were really supportive, and just like having them behind me really gave me the confidence. Like, yeah, like I should totally do this. I should not be scared. Let me take to the streets. Like I have nothing to lose. Yeah, like were people staring? Yes. But I think like that moment was also a moment of confidence that, just because like people are staring at you crazy or like you look very silly doing something doesn't mean like you're doing anything wrong. And that was like one of the many brave moments I ever had in my life. Because like if I did not do that, like I would really not know like the power that was within me as a young person with a voice, as a young person who has been called to do such a thing. So, I walked through the streets super anxious, but I did it anyway. And my friends were there. So like we were making jokes, laughing, talking to people. And the reason why I actually felt very confident was that we were actually getting stopped by people who get asked like, what is climate change? What are we advocating for? Why are we advocating for it? How does it affect them? And that really just like motivated us, like, yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep, going through different parts of Lagos Island. And we had people take photos of us, like, and before we knew it, like UNICEF reached out and we really loved that we did it. And, I got featured.
Okay, I want to ask you something. I've been saying Lagos my entire life and no one's ever corrected me. I'm saying it wrong?
Yeah, it's Lagos.
Oh my God.
But like, I feel like we do not correct like non-Nigerians when they call it Lagos. Like, we're just like, yeah, it's totally fine.
In 10 years, no one's corrected me ever. I'm so embarrassed right now. Will you say it for me really so I can hear it correctly?
Lagos.
Like Legos, but Lagos.
Lagos. Like,
Lagos.
if I was saying it with a Nigerian accent, it would be Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or you could just call it like Eko. Like, it's like the Yoruba version of Lagos. You can say Eko. Like, if you say Eko, like, people will be shocked to actually know that they also call it Eko.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's like an
Thank you for the
insider
education,
term,
and thank you
like,
for correcting me.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Everybody calls it Lagos. All my friends call it Lagos. So I just got used to that.
Oh, gosh. I barely even say my own last name correctly, so I don't know why I'm not surprised I didn't pronounce it correctly, but anyway. So you won the UN ODC competition for sensitization campaign. Wait, sensitization.
It's sensitization, like we're sensitizing people.
I'm not drunk, I promise. Okay. So,
it's fine. Yeah, I mispronounce things all the time. Like, I get like
sensitization. Golly. So in the NGO world, we use words like sensitization and awareness a lot, but information doesn't change behavior. Emotion does. How do you use your photography and storytelling to make people not just know about the climate crisis, but feel it in their gut?
Yeah, so this was exactly why I moved to tech entrepreneurship and, actually working on apps and solutions. Like, I started very awareness focused, like raise awareness, take to the streets, do public demonstration, write letters to politicians. But over time, I realized people just knowing about the issue doesn't really solve anything. Like, people are more aware than ever. Like, social media has made information ubiquitous. We are hearing about the climate crisis everywhere. We're seeing the disasters on our phones. People are talking about the issues. And we need to understand that we have to go beyond just like knowing that these things are happening. We need to get our hands dirty. We need to go outside, recycle, plant trees, clear up our environment, speak out, go to community meetings, participate in collective action. So I realized that simply speaking about these issues is not enough. Like, I moved entirely away from awareness. Like, these days I rarely do awareness. Like, even sometimes like I get like interview requests from like the media and I have to like deny it because I'm like, what's the point? Like, it's not really like, the issue is going to get solved. You just like get featured or like platformed. And sometimes it could be very tokenistic where they include your voice as a young person simply because like, they just like want like a youth perspective for like, optics. And it can be very disappointing where you see like organizations that should be centered because like, trust me, there's so many young people that I've met who have like brilliant ideas that could solve like the triple planetary crisis. They have like such brilliant ideas. They're working on impressive solutions. Like, I'm not even doing the coolest stuff. Like, I know kids were building robots. I know kids were building like freaking water fertilizers and things that purify water purifiers. And they're doing like really incredible work but they lack the funding. And when you're a young person, sometimes it feels like you're not being taken seriously in the world. And, even if your ideas have merit, like, they're still like, he's just a kid. Like, what does he really know? And I really love that you mentioned that age does not really need to determine like how much like wisdom somebody has or like how much experience. And I think like our world today has this very interesting like affiliation of like how much like knowledge or experience you have about something with like, how much your age is. I've met really wise children and I've met not so wise adults. So, like I've met really wise children and I've met not so wise adults. So I think it's very important that we understand, like, especially in this age where, there's the internet, like people have access to so much information. People are reading such deeply. People are, engaging with philosophy, an understanding of the world, history. And, I think now more than ever, it's a perfect time to overlook, like be too less focused on like the traditional NGO format of like doing things and actually, investing in young people with radical ideas, with bold ideas. Like, I would say like, even though I don't 100% agree with this, like I agree with the people that want to like make like, would I say Silicon Valley Fi, the way we approach like climate change, because like Silicon Valley is all about like bold bets. Like they're all about like throwing money towards like any grand idea. But like, I feel like when it comes to like the NGO world, the diplomacy world, like they're a bit like risk averse. Like they always wait for consensus. Like everybody must agree, which really just like, make us like wait to actually get things done. But I think like we actually need to get bolder when it comes to like how we are solving these problems.
I sit in a lot of UN meetings and World Bank meetings and other things, and half the time I'm sitting there going, we don't need to. This is like a waste of money. Like we could engage in citizen journalism. There's so many tools and resources that are free that could be used. We don't need billions of dollars to throw at at awareness. We could invest billions of dollars in education. Not agendas, not propaganda, education. And then to provide tools for underserved communities. You could solve a lot of problems by helping the underserved. I'm not talking to you because I know you know this. But in these meetings, all of these bigwigs and politicians and all these people, they're like, oh, we need hundreds of billions of dollars to do these things. Bullshit. Pardon my French. You need the truth. You could just start with the truth, and then little by little, that's going to move people. Instead of encouraging opinions on social media, how about some citizen journalism and start sharing stories, real stories, things that you witness with your eyes, things that you shoot with your own camera, and tell stories, not opinions. Opinions are serving no one, because opinions get us lost in this game of propaganda, and there's no way out of it. There's no truth in this. So we waste all of this money that really the resources should be invested back in the youth, not going back into these mega corporations. And look, I love AI. AI is an amazing tool, but we're missing the mark on a lot of this stuff because all we're doing right now is regurgitating the power. And it sounds like there's supposed to be a great reset and a redistribution, right? No, it's being redistributed back to the people, the elite, the powers that be. And all they're doing is wasting money. Or in the case of my country, we spend lots of money on war and doing the bidding of, I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there. I'm going to get everybody in trouble. The point is, we need truth. And the only way to snap people out of this brain fog of all the propaganda that's taken place since even before I was born, if we invest in the youth and we start encouraging storytelling and citizen journalism, little by little, the truth will be so impossible to hide. Then people will wake up to, wait a second, maybe this ideology and belief system I've had my whole life is wrong. Maybe I am contributing to the problem that is causing people to live in poverty. Maybe we have something to do with that after all. And the thing is, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that they're contributing to evil because there's more evil done in the name of good than I think. I mean, in actual real evil.
This is why philanthrocapitalism is constantly criticized. They believe that it's not really helping, especially like African communities, because like sometimes like I hear this like really big like funding being sent to Nigeria, and I'm like, this money is not being trickled down into the local communities. Like I live here. Like I do not see any of the billions and the millions of the funding and the money being raised at by donors or at like charity balls. Like I do not see it here. So like anytime I hear these big numbers, I'm like, where is the money? Like I'm not seeing the money in these communities.
100%. I mean, I could go on more rants about the American media and how they lie about Africa and even what's happening in Nigeria. Like, there's people, there's people that still watch the news and think it's real. So they'll listen to they don't understand, like what you show on camera. It's amazing how you can have an image that's shot by a camera that only shows you what the camera can see. You don't see what goes on behind the scenes. You don't see the full big picture. You see what you're shown. How do people know or not know? And this is not a question, but people assume that just because they see it on their screen that it's real. Like, they don't consider that maybe it's a production. Maybe it's part of the propaganda. Maybe it's actually AI. I mean, I've even seen on local news them using AI, like them showing an AI video pretending, like, I don't know if they're pretending it's real or they think it's real. So there's just so much misinformation and waste. Like, I guess I don't even, this is not a plain question, but I want to ask you, like, how has fake media narratives or propaganda, how has that affected the youth of Nigeria?
That is a very interesting question. Like, Nigeria has so many negative stereotypes attached to us, which really sucks. Like, it really affects, like, sometimes, like, it really affects, like, global opportunities for us, because, like, there are so many negative stereotypes when it comes to, like, Nigeria and its youth. Like, we're associated with, like, fraud, like, being lazy. I think the lazy stereotype is even actually applied to, like, African and African American communities around the world. So yeah. So I think, like, the media really makes it very difficult to know that there are innovative young people in Africa. Like, and even when we do get, like, spotlighted, they almost always spotlight the, African, the African innovators who are, like, very Western adjacent, like maybe like British Nigerians or like Nigerian Americans or like just like Africans were, based in the US or the UK. Like, they never really spotlight those of us who are on the continent. And oftentimes, like, the solutions and the work, while the work of Africans in the diaspora are really remarkable and they're really helping those on the continent, sometimes they actually also cause more harm because, like, they don't have, like, a strong knowledge of, like, what we need. It's almost always from, like, a Western lens of, like, yeah, Africa should be the New York of blah, blah, blah. No, like, we don't need more of that. We need more of, like, African solutions designed by Africans for Africans. Amen. From Africa, not, like, from outside. And there's just, like, tension, like, Western institutions have, like, most of the money, the power, the say. So, the African organizations, they really have little power over things. And it's, like, a very difficult, like, balance. Like, should I get too involved with the Western institutions or should I get too involved with the African institutions?
This is not a plain question, but I know you're qualified to answer. So right now, the way that the UN is set up, there's a few countries that have basically all the power. They have the veto power, and essentially those countries can overrule all the smaller countries. In your mind, off the top of your head, maybe you have a solution, maybe you don't, maybe this is up for discussion, maybe this is something that we collaborate on to make a change. But how do we make the UN system fair for all countries and all people, because right now it seems like the power that lies in the hands of a few is dictating how the rest of the world will be, and I think that's bullcrap. How do we change that?
Yeah, so I actually do take, like, global affairs classes, and I would say, like, this is something that we often argue about a lot because, like, what is the essence of the UN if, very few countries have, like, a say on what happens to the rest of the world? Right. It's like, it really is why many Gen Z youth have really lost faith in the UN or, like, multilateral systems. And I think, like, it is a priority for the UN to evolve because, like, trust in these institutions are at, I would say, like, at an all-time low. The good old days where we saw this, like, institutions as, like, the arbiter of, like, truth and, authority, like, they're really gone. Like, Gen Z does not really take many of these institutions seriously. We do not take politicians too seriously. We don't take, like, it's very common for our generation to see everybody as, like, a grifter, like, they're, yes. Or, like, they're trying to spread, like, propaganda. Like, they do not, like, take everything they see to heart. And sometimes like people oftentimes say like, oh, the UN is a joke. I do believe the UN is still very important. Like,
yes,
it's an institution for, dialogue about like the world's, most urgent problems. And without dialogue, we really cannot solve anything. So even if the UN is imperfect, I do believe that, there can be improvements in the multilateral system. The Security Council needs to be reformed. So many aspects of the UN needs to be reformed. We need more African voices in the UN. We need more African perspectives heard. And also the way aid is being given, that also needs to be, transformed, because like even aid just feels like, Africa is constantly being indebted to this like global powers. And I just I appreciate the UN, but we also need to get very real. While I can be very idealistic, I am also very realistic. So I think like the UN should definitely be transformed. And I think like last year, after the anniversary of the UN, there were lots of conversation about like how to transform the multilateral system and make sure that the UN is very relevant in this new age. So yeah.
I'm some of the most amazing human beings, heart-centered, like loving, caring, world-changing people I've met at the UN. And so I know that for all the criticism it gets, I know there's really good people there that really do care. But right now, the power struggle, like there needs to be change. I'm an optimist, and I believe that change is going to happen, but it's only going to happen because of people like yourself and the movements you lead. So I'm grateful for the work you do, and I'm grateful for your transparency. Now, you founded hold on, I'm going to say it right. Lagos? No, dadgummit. Now I'm in my head about it. Lagos.
It's Lagos.
Lagos Island Literacy Project. Okay, you founded the Lagos Island Literacy Project. You aren't just teaching kids to read books, you are teaching civic and environmental literacy. Why do you believe that understanding the environment is a fundamental human right, just like reading and writing? Is climate ignorance the most dangerous form of illiteracy?
Definitely. Because the reason why I had to prioritize like environmental literacy for the Lagos Island Literacy Project was I realized that the fact that we never really got to understand nature and the environment and why we need to protect it in our schools is why everything is so messed up now. And we cannot repeat the mistakes of, past generations by separating nature from humans. Like, in the historic times, like in the past, like people were very one with nature. Like my ancestors probably lived in villages, they went farming, they were taking care of their like local gardens. But now like everybody is living in cities, we're eating junk food, ordering things off of Amazon. And things are different now, and we're very like separated from nature. And I think this is like, well, the industrial age really transformed like so much in our society. Like we became like very reliant on like this big mega corporations. We became reliant on like cheap dopamine, like spending all our time like eating junk food, McDonald's, scrolling on social media. And we became very like separated from like nature. Like I think like as human beings, we're here to appreciate nature, to bask in the warmth of the grass, to play with flowers, to stare at butterflies and just like appreciate the beauty of the world that we exist in, to just like appreciate the wonders of this like planet. Because like I would say it's a gift to actually exist on this earth. Like it's a gift. Like sometimes like I just look at like random things like the cloud or like a mountain or like just something as like mundane as like a bird, and I'm like, wow, I cannot believe I get to exist in this. Like, and we do not appreciate that enough, and that's like very disappointing. And I think as human beings, we do not appreciate like what we have enough, because like this world is really freaking beautiful, and it hurts my heart like every time I see like plastic waste on the streets, or like people just like treating the world like it's just like some background like thing they just happen to exist in. I think that's a problem. So I started I believe like environmental literacy is important, because it is important that we teach the next generation that is going to inhabit our society why it's important to value our environment. We should not make the same mistake we made with the millennials and maybe Gen Z and the boomers and Gen X and all the generations that stopped valuing the planet. We need to teach them the importance of gardening, taking care of like your local community, why it's important to care about like planting your own food, just like caring about like the environment and why it's, and I think like I wish I had like environmental literacy, because like I would have like started, I would have had like a little like garden, like I would plant flowers. I would have like just like done those kind of things. I would like help me understand like nature and the natural environment. But I think I never really got to do that. But like now that I'm older, like I'm trying to develop like my, love for nature. Like now I go to like parks a lot. I go to like gardens. Like I just like try to do these things because like it really helps you get one with nature, because like and so many people wonder like why they're constantly anxious and they're depressed. But in reality, they never let themselves do what they're meant to do as humans, which is to connect with nature, to go in like the parks and the gardens. Like spending all your time in your $1 million penthouse in New York is not going to make you happy. And some people wonder like why they have all this money and all this wealth and all this admiration, and they still constantly feel hollow. They're not one with nature. Humans are not meant to be this, dissociated from like the natural world. And it makes me sad that we're really like, replace like the value of valuing, the natural world for like money and profit, planet over profit any day. And that's very difficult, especially now that we live in a very hyper-consumerist society where, you have to constantly buy and buy and buy to prove your worth. And I really hate that Nigeria has also become that kind of society. We've really taken that not so cool aspect of American society where people here are very people here have done very consumerist. Like they buy things they do not need to signal value to people they do not like. And it never made any sense to me. Like, why are you buying the designer bag and the really nice clothes that you'd only wear once just to show that you're living fine to people that do not still like you? Like, it never made sense to me. Like, humans have always just like, wanted validation from other people. We're social animals. We want other people to constantly validate, like, yes, you're cool and you're rich and you're living fine, but it is costing the planet. You do not need 3 boxes of Amazon orders. You do not need all those clothes you bought. You do not need those kitchen sets. You do not need those extra books. Like, and consumerism is killing our society. Like, there's a dump in Ghana where they dump like used items. And if people did not, and due to the way we treat like our bodily waste, it is affecting the planet too. People are dying. Like people in, somewhere in Nigeria are actually dying due to battery waste. So people never realize, like you mentioned, like some people might be causing evil without them knowing. They're like, yeah, but like I'm just buying things from Amazon, or like I'm just buying things from Shein. How is that impacting people? But they don't really realize that, and there's no problem in wanting to shop and buy from Amazon or buy from Shein, but you need to be very wary of your consumption and the negative impact it is having on society.
Oh my amens. I have so many amens to everything you just said. Everything. When I learned, I'm very passionate about learning how things are created. It's one of my favorite things. So I love going from idea to distribution to monetization. So everything in media, but even if it's fashion or books or clothing, it's such an interesting process to me. And when I started learning about sustainable fashion and also how the fashion pollution, in other words, and then the waste, and then learning about even the clothes that we're putting on our body, how that affects us. We have gotten, and convenience has taken us so far from our reliance on the creator. It's crazy, because I would imagine back in the day, I wasn't alive then, but when you had to actually hunt for your food, you could go days without food. You had to work for it. You had to pray. You had to, God, will you please rain so my crops can grow? Because that was the only way they could eat, because they didn't have synthetic food yet.
Send me some bread.
Right. And then as we've evolved and technological advances and yada, yada, all this stuff, it's removed us and separated us so far from the original design. And one of the things I want to point out, and I don't really know how to frame this question because I haven't really thought it through, but the whole time you were talking, I couldn't stop thinking about it, is that all of these people, and look, I know there's weather engineering. I know that the bombs that are dropped affect the climate. Humans play a role in climate change. Some of it manufactured, some of it our fault, but also we haven't been good stewards of the planet that we're blessed with. And so when I see people speak out, there is a climate change agenda, and it's BS. I don't like well-funded agendas. I like truth. I like transparency. I like authenticity. So that whole movement is inauthentic. The Paris Climate Agreement, inauthentic, especially when you're not going to hold people to the rules. Anyway, that's another subject. But the people that push back on being good stewards of the environment, recycling, even though the recycling process is kind of bullcrap in America too, because they just go dump it in third world countries, and that's gross. But like the people that are fighting against these things and pushing against it are also the same people that claim to be religious and claim to be of God. And yet at the same time, these agendas that they vote for are basically saying, no, we don't need to care for the planet. We don't need recycling. We don't need to pick up our trash. We don't need to litter. We have trained this world to be lazy, to not care about each other, to become narcissistic. We are far from empathy. We have not created an environment where it's safe for people to be comfortable being themselves. And because of that, we have a big, huge disorientation of what's right, what's true, what's real. We're all confused. So I didn't really think this process out of the question. I didn't really think through this question, but what I want to ask, I guess, is how do we get people to care about the creator's creation? Even though we're all pieces of the creator, we tend to not really care about each other. We don't tend to see the creator in each other. We don't see the creator in the flowers. We don't see the creator in the beautiful oceans that we had. We don't see the creator in the stars. We're missing this. And so we treat it as if it's just this thing that we watched on Netflix or whatever. Like, we don't really care. How do we get people to care about the creation and all that's been created again?
That is the hardest part of my advocacy. And thank you so much for asking that question. As an advocate, one of the things you're expected to do is to actually make people care. And Gen Z calls this an era of nonchalance. Like, Gen Z is, well, not only Gen Z, but like even millennials, like they've gotten into this era of like not being nonchalant, which basically means not really caring too much about anything, or having this, feeling of like aloofness, like, oh yeah, I really don't care, like it doesn't affect me, and we can see this when there's like a major social political issue happening. People who are privileged oftentimes say like, I'm not really affected, so why should I care? Like, Black Lives Matter is happening. Yeah, like I'm not Black, why should I care? Palestine is happening. I'm not Palestinian, why should I care? But we need to understand that, there's this African philosophy called Ubuntu, which basically means I am because you are. So we all exist in interconnected, like we're interconnected with one another. Like, I am as a person because you are. Like, the fact that you exist is because like we exist to take care of one another, to respect each other, to show common basic humanity and respect to one another, and make sure that this world is convenient for each one of us. And it seems like everybody just threw away this like old philosophies and ideas. Like, even for those who are religious, like so many religious texts emphasize the importance of, taking care of your others, respecting others, forgiving others, not doing evil, not doing harm to others. The 10 Commandments exist, like so many, like from the Quran to the Torah to the Holy Bible, like it keeps saying this, like, and even Nigeria is a very religious society, we still do very wicked things to one another. We have like people who call themselves religious leaders who are embezzling money. We have, people who are like committing like major fraud, going to the church to make an offering with the money they stole from somebody else. And, there's just like so much hypocrisy. And I think that's like the problem with humans. Like, we're cursed with like holding too much contradictions. Like, within us, we have the capability to do evil and to also do good. And some people, they over maximize the evil. Like, I'm not going to sit down here and say like I'm some perfect angel. I've done things that in the past that I would regret. Like, maybe like, well, I would say I would never steal. It's something I'm scared of. Like, I think like it's a very terrible thing to do. But like, lie or, be like aggressive or be competitive, like those kind of behaviors. And I think like even the society we exist in oftentimes like foster this kind of behavior. And we see this from like a very young age, people competing in schools or competing for jobs, internships, and it just like fosters. And I think like one thing like I've learned to develop as an adult, like young adult, is, the importance of having an abundance mindset. Like the world, we live in a world of abundance, but like the systems we exist in try to convince us that we live in a world of scarcity. There's not enough for you, so you have to make sure that another person doesn't take what belongs to you. And in that way, people get very greedy, they get very selfish. They're trying to pull others down. That's where we have like the crabs in a bucket mentality. And it's very evident in Nigerian society. People are constantly, measuring others and, trying to bring people down. And it really brings out the very ugly aspects of people. It really brings the ugly inside people. And, it really stops us from actually being innovative, to actually come together and solve the problems we're facing as a society, to liberate one another. And, as like an advocate and somebody who is committed to like working on, this as like a lifelong mission, I have to unlearn this like very, dark patterns in me as a human, the desire to constantly center myself. And one thing I've learned to also is to decenter myself. I try to not think about myself too much. I try to not think like, I'm the center of the universe, and if something bad happens to me, like, the God is punishing me, I try to give grace to others. I try to not over center my own like struggles, and understand like, I'm still living a relatively privileged life compared to so many people. I still have the ability to dream. Like I don't have to struggle to find food. I don't have to struggle to drink water. I don't have to struggle to fend for myself. So I think as human beings, to get them to care, we need a lot of work. We need a lot of work. And I think like it's very difficult to get people to care, because like we live in a world that constantly tells us to prioritize ourselves, to prioritize our selfish desires, to prioritize the money, to prioritize status, to prioritize, our own like happiness and our own hedonistic tendencies. And that eventually ends just like put us in situations where we end up like, messing other people up. And it's very dangerous. It's a very, very dangerous thing. And, it really just like shows up in very sad ways where people do very greedy things that end up hurting like so many people.
I agree with you. You brought up something earlier in the I think it was in your gratitude response, talking about how the youth are tokenized or used as tokens in a lot of these board meetings. I've seen it myself. It's almost like these adults. It reminds me of the Disney Club. And the Walt Disney Club for the kid, it reminds me of all of these adults, these handlers that go and find kids that can speak well. They look good on camera. They're like, okay, we're going to give you a script and we're going to put you in front of all these people and we're going to talk about this big project we're doing. And pardon the term, to me, it feels like, and I'm very sensitive to human trafficking and organ trafficking and all these things. It's a hit home thing for me. So I'm in these board meetings and I'm watching this. I'm going, you're pimping out the children. You're pimping out these kids so you can get your billions of dollars for your big project. But all you're doing is creating another system full of gatekeepers and another, really, in my opinion, another slave system. Instead of empowering the youth to do it for themselves, because guess what? Kids do not need adults in this age when it comes to business. Yes, they need guidance, they need to be taught, but when it comes to the tools that are available, kids don't need to go to college. Listen, college is great, do your thing, whatever you want, but that's not the only path. You can, because of the media tools that are widely available and accessible to all now, we don't need university the same way we did before. We don't need to rely on adults. In fact, kids don't even need permission to take their life into their own hands. Because of the media tools necessary, people like yourself can write books, you can speak on stages, you can create a podcast, you can teach workshops, you can monetize everything in media and no one's going to stop you. You don't need my permission. You don't need the UN's permission. You don't need an NGO's permission. You don't need your mommy and daddy's permission. You don't need your church's permission. You can do it on your own. And so these adults, and I'm fired up, forgive me, I get fired up about some of these subjects, but these adults in these meetings that act like kids can't think for themselves and they don't know better and bull crap. You're a prime example of this. You're a prime example that you can take the lead, and God bless your parents for encouraging you and supporting you in your advocacy and the things that you believe in. More families need to do that. But we don't live in a world anymore where kids have to wait till they're 18 to leave home, to go to college, and then hopefully get a job. No, kid, if you can operate a TikTok account, if you can operate a YouTube account, guess what? You can run a media company, because the same process to publish a podcast, to publish a book, to create apparel and merchandise, to be on an OTT platform like Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, it's all the same process. It's all the same. You got a couple little changes here and there, but it's essentially the same. So if you can learn how to do YouTube, you can learn how to do every part of media, including the metaverse. You don't need to go to school for that. You can create endless revenue streams today. You can start today with no money. You don't need an adult for that. So these adults, pardon my rant, but these adults that are treating kids like pawns and tokens and, hey, let's put you out for everyone to see so we can raise millions of dollars. I speak curses over all of your lives, because you're creating a bigger problem than it exists now. So I know I just went on a rant, but you serve as an advisor for the World Ocean Day and TikTok. Young people, as I said, are often brought into the boardroom as tokens, so the adults can say they listen to the youth. How do you ensure that you aren't just a prop in the room? How do you make sure your voice actually influences policy?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So I would say, like, all the youth boards I've been on, they actually prioritize the voices of the young people they're engaging, which I'm very grateful for. TikTok has been amazing. They actually do listen to, our ideas, our perspectives on how the platform can be better. They've actually done so much from introducing new features that ensure like child safety on their platform, to removing any content that could be harmful to their young users. I think TikTok has done an amazing job, and likewise the World Ocean Day. They've really prioritized our ideas. They've really funded us to work on projects to raise awareness about ocean, conservation, and so much more. So I think many of the youth boards I've been on, they've been incredible. I've been on a few youth boards that were very tokenistic, but those were like a minority in the ones I've been involved in. And I do agree with bringing young people because of the ideas and what they can contribute, and not to tokenize them or use their faces and their stories and their traumas to make money or raise donations. I think that's a very unethical practice. And I do think that many of these big organizations and NGOs need to do better. Young people should go beyond simply, this kid went through this insane trauma and he grew up in this Sudanese camp and he went through all these problems and now he's a global leader. And I think that doesn't really change anything. It almost just tokenizes the person's pain and just prompts it for storytelling and sympathy, poverty porn points, which is why I never really fall into that kind of thing. Oftentimes I'm very honest about my story. I did not grow up in extreme struggle. I think anytime somebody hear of somebody who grew up in Nigeria, they're like, oh my God, you probably grew up in extreme. But no, I had a pretty well off family. Even if we weren't super duper crazy rich, we are still able to have nice meals, attend great schools, and just live. So I lived a totally chill life. So yeah.
So by 2030, you'll be in your mid-20s. The timeline for climate action is shrinking. If the leaders of my generation don't get out of the way, what is the one thing your generation is going to do with or without us to save this ship?
Honestly, I'm optimistic and not so optimistic about Gen Z, because I feel like Gen Z is giving up on the world. And I say this as somebody who sees how people oftentimes talk about these problems. It seems like we're starting to give up. We're things are not changing. We're speaking out and we're challenging the systems, and we're, taking to the streets and attending the UN summits, and we're, conforming to the system, and we're stepping out too. And little is changing. And why? And when people realize that they have very little control about like where the world is heading, they start to feel a sense of, disillusionment. Like, I've been doing all this work. I've been at the UN. I've been at the, summits, the World Economic Forum. I've been at everywhere, raising my voice, sharing my story, talking about the importance of why we need to take action, and nothing has been done. Like, it really just fosters a sense of like disillusionment and just like deep like devastation that, the world is going nowhere and things keep getting worse around you. And I think like, in a way, there's some young people who refuse to give up, like despite everything that is going on, they're still showing up. They're still like, yes, I'm still going to change things. I'm still going to make sure that, these problems are solved. I'm still going to attend the summits and the events and raise my voice and represent the voices of young people that are not able to be in those spaces. But I think like at the same time, Gen Z can be quite nonchalant. They're like, even if the world ends, we really do not care. Like, the world sucks anyways. Like, the world should end anyway. Like, we really do not care. And I think like it's going to be a disservice for future generations because they would not get to experience the beauty of the world. Due to biodiversity loss, we're losing so many animals. So many animals will go extinct. Like, I fear that in the future, kids will not even know what a kangaroo is because like kangaroos went extinct or so. So it's really sad, but at the same time, I believe that Gen Z is not going to give up. We see have young people, challenging the status quo. We have young people protesting. Like, I have a couple of friends who, recently took to protest. Like, they attended like the No Kings protest in the US. They're challenging power. They're raising awareness. Here in Nigeria, their young people are constantly calling out Nigerian politicians for their, wrong, actions and their missteps. They're calling them out online, offline. So I think like I think like, young people are not going to give up, but at the same time, they're slowly giving up. So, but I do believe that it gets better. It really does.
It will. It's because of people like yourself. Now, I'm known as the world's mayor. And if I gave you the keys to the city of Lagos, I said it again. I'm going to just say it the way I say it. If I gave you
it's only fine. Like, pronounce it however you want. Like, there's no rule that you must call it Lagos.
I'm going to practice when we finish this. If I gave you the keys to your city for 24 hours and you could pass one decree, one law that would be enforced immediately, what would it be?
I would pass the law that every Lagosian is expected to take care of their immediate community every week. Because like Lagos, like, yeah. So the reason why I say this is that people never realize that community service is really important. And Nigerians, especially like late Nigerians here in Lagos, they oftentimes treat the state as like not their business. And because like many of us that live here in Lagos are migrants. Like, we are migrants or descendants of migrants. So some of us are not native to the land. It's like the same way, like, people who move to like indigenous lands do not take care of the lands, like the indigenous communities that were displaced. We do not take care of the lands. Like, people who would dispose their litter, dump their waste anyhow, they would not take care of their community. They will not participate in, elections or participating in community service. And I think that's bad because it really just like prevents the state from growing and propelling us forward. And I think that in itself is problematic because like we need to take care of Lagos. Like, Lagos is Nigeria's commercial city. It's a city of so much potential. And we're actually like, there was a whole controversy last year where somebody said the city stinks because of like the lack of like environmental, lack of like prioritizing, taking care of the environment and taking care of the city. And I think some people argue that the person is right. Some people argue that the person is wrong. But regardless, I still think the person had a point because we are not putting an effort into actually making sure that, the environment is well taken care of. The environment is conducive. And I even watched a YouTube video where somebody stated that, Africa's largest city, which they were referring to, Lagos, is a very awful place to live in. And some of the points the person made was right because Lagos is, the urban planning can be really bad, is not the best, and there's so much priority of like prestige projects over actually like building a sustainable city, and that itself is also a problem. But I do think that if I got the key and an ability to make a law, I'll definitely make sure that Lagosians are expected to take care of Lagos better. Like, they're expected to engage in community service every week. They're expected to participate in local elections. They're expected to ensure that their waste is well done. They're expected to make sure that their surroundings are clean. So yeah, taking care of the city.
I personally think, this is just my opinion, I think citizen journalism, media literacy, and storytelling are the key to unlock all of that. That is my, I'll die on that hill. This is why I'm so passionate about it, because it's the closest thing to truth we know. When we're sharing our testimonies, our stories, again, real-time experiences, sharing that, even documenting the struggle, being honest about failure, being honest about, oh, I screwed up, will you forgive me? It goes a long way in changing the world. All right, I would start preaching on that, so I'm gonna stop. Now, there's a 13-year-old listening right now. Maybe they're in Lagos. Maybe they're in Lagos. Maybe they're in Detroit. They're angry about the world, but they feel small. They don't have an app. They don't have a UN award. What is the first step? Not the big step, the first step.
Yeah. Okay. So my advice is, if you're a 13-year-old and you want to, you see all these problems that are happening in the world, and you're so, you're driven to make a difference, and, you see poverty in your community and you want to solve it, or hunger or struggle, and you just want to put an end to the suffering, your voice is the most powerful thing you have. I know, when you're a kid, you're oftentimes scared, but as a young person, when you speak up, you force those who are older to listen to you. It is very rare for a young person to speak up and to say, this is not right and something needs to be done about this. It is very rare. So whenever that is done, the adults are actually very much forced to listen to them. And I think it and oftentimes many parents do not want their children to speak to power, to challenge adults, but whenever a child does that, it's a major thing. So if you're a young person, and also use your talents, each and every one of us as human beings, we do have so many talents that we have, whether it's poetry or dance or art, any form of art, whether it's whether it's art or whether it's fictional stories. So each and every one of us do have talents or things that we do have within us that could be used to drive social change. So I think it's important that, look for that thing within you and make use of it.
All right, this is the last question. So imagine this is a one-time event. You've been invited to speak at the UN, but this UN message is broadcast to the entire world. Every single person in the world can see this message. Every corner, every place that people don't even know exists, it's being broadcast. You have the microphone. You've got all the world leaders in front of you. You've got all the big corporations. You've got all the universities. You've got all the students. You got everyone in the world. This is an epic event. This is bigger than the first moon landing, if that really happened. This is bigger. It's bigger than that. This is a broadcast message to the world, and you have the microphone. What is the one thing you want to tell the world?
Oh my God. Yeah, this is so much responsibility. What would I say?
That's why I'm putting it on you. You're going to change the world, man. Come on.
So I would stand in front of the world and I would say, this is a word in, it's a word in Yoruba. It's a Nigerian language. And so it's basically, it's the tongue of my ancestors. I'm Yoruba Nigerian. So it basically goes, Ile aye dun se aye luma ile. And it basically translates to, the world is very sweet, but we humans make it very difficult. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Mic drop. That's beautiful. All right, listen. You are a global treasure. I'm not going to call you a national treasure. You're a global treasure. Anything we can ever do to support you and your mission and what you're up to, you can count on it. Now, I want to give you, gave your message to the world, but now I want to give you an opportunity to have the last word. Anything on your heart that you feel led to share, anything you want to promote. I don't care if it's a basket weaving, competition that you're doing, whatever you want. The floor is yours. You get the last word. But but make sure you tell people where they can support you.
Yeah, sure. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't like asking people for too much. Like, I feel like I'm the kind of person that I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't like putting my. So yeah. So if I would definitely ask for something, the thing I would ask for is, I would ask for people to, basically support the work I do. You can follow me on social media and reach out and see ways we can collaborate. Like, I'm always open to collaboration. I think like most of the most impactful things I've been able to do was basically collaborating with people and working with people. So, you can find me on LinkedIn, Tariq Lawal. I also, you can search me up online. You can find a couple of websites where you can see like my information, reach out. Like, I'm always open to talking to people. If you have like a major vision for how to make the world a better place, I'm always open to that. And yes, like something else I would ask for people is to use your voice. You cannot rely on advocates like me to do all the work because like the pressure can be, really stressful sometimes. So we need other people speaking with us. Like, relying on one person holding the microphone is not enough. We need an echo. So we need everybody echoing at once because like the more people speaking up on these issues, the more like world leaders are actually likely to listen. So if you have a platform, you have like an audience, never stop talking about the triple planetary crisis, never stop talking about like societal inequalities, never stop talking about like the problems that the world is facing and why they need to be addressed. So yeah, that's what I would ask.
Generate by AI.